Hello, welcome to V4Rs, a town that's usually pretty sleepy throughout the year, but when the classics roll round, well, it gets a little bit full up with a few pro teams. I am here outside a very swanky hotel where UAE are staying, and I'm going to have a quick look at the bikes that they're going to be using for the classics. Yesterday, well, as I'm filming this, was E3 Saxo Classic. Tomorrow is gent-wevelgem. And well, they're getting the bikes clean from yesterday or this morning's training and ready for tomorrow's race. Let's have a look what they're using. All right, the bikes behind me that are getting used for the Classics campaign differ very little to what they use throughout the season, believe it or not. Back in the good old days, there used to be a lot of modifications for the cobbled classics. Riders might use the endurance version of bikes that were in the sponsors lineup. Behind me, the bikes that are getting cleaned are the ones that are going to be used throughout the classics campaign. In fact, they're pretty much the bikes that are going to be used throughout the whole season. Unlike the good old days when we used to see modifications, different bikes rolled out for the tough stuff up here in the north of Europe. Today, bikes are pretty much, well, ace at doing everything, and the Colnago V4Rs is great for hitting the cobbles, great for hitting the climbs, as we've seen already this year. So what are they using? What have they changed? There might be a little bit of extra bar tape or gel pad added to a few of the bars to add a little bit of comfort up front, but really the only change is the tyre size. In this case, they'll be using 32mm Continental 5000 STR. Now, they're not letting me in on the tyre pressure, but they never do. Wrapped around Envy's very fancy SES 4.5 wheels. This pretty much across the board. There's not really any other size being used, believe it or not. Obviously, each rider has their own saddle choice, and some of them saddle positions definitely are, well, I wouldn't say questionable, but definitely are outside what I thought the manufacturers say where you could put them. Either way, I'm guessing the mechanics know what they're doing on the team. The bars and stem aren't actually the proprietary ones that come with the Colnago V4Rs if you go and buy it in a shop. Instead, it's the very fancy Envy ones. And yeah, there's plenty of levers tilted in as well. UAE, even though they use Dura-Ace, aren't actually sponsored by Shimano. They go out and buy their own equipment, and that is why we're seeing some very different chain rings on there on some of the bikes. Size-wise, Pelotti's using a 55/40 up front for the Classics campaign. That might change for Roubaix though, and most of the other riders are using a 54/36 or 54/40. There's also some very fancy carbon tie disc rotors, 160 up front, 140 out back. I am sorry, there's no weights. I have not been allowed to get the scales out. Oh, and if you're wondering what that gold Colnago is there, well, that's the gravel bike for the mechanics, the managers, the other staff to kick about on. And yes, it has got rival. Now, in between them cleaning the bikes, I managed to get hold of one of the mechanics and find out exactly what equipment they bring along for the races. It's quite a bit. For the Classic, how many wheels have you packed in the team truck? And 20 sets of wheels. And how many bikes will each rider have?
18 bike in car, 18 bike in race, 16 bike in total.
Yeah. Right, there we have it, fancy bikes from a fancy team. Oh, what, they're looking about 15 grand a pop for them things. So that's a lot of money sat there, isn't it? But please join the conversation below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're not, hit us up by the socials. And as always, thank you for watching and enjoy your riding and enjoy the classics.